Hello everyone, welcome back to more AEW on TEW 2020. We are here in the second week of September of 2021, over a year into this simulation now. Well, not exactly, whatever, you know what I mean. Start off with the intro to BTE, as always with Dark. Then we go to Frederick Hirsch trying to give an advertisement on BT for NordVPN when he's interrupted by Antonio Banks walking up to him, flanked by the Acclaimed. Banks says, "Look, kid, see what you're trying to do. You're trying to be a salesman, and I get that, but here's the thing. You're getting nowhere on your own. So how's about this? You're damn good on the mic, so I'll bring you into my bankroll, and I'll let you help me out with advertisements. Got it?" And Hirsch is a bit starstruck. He's like, "Holy crap, something I'm doing is actually working." But he does agree once he's, kind of snaps out of it. And that is true. Hirsch is actually really good on the mic. He has, like, high 80s in charisma and mic, and I think he's also in, like, the 70s for acting. Hirsch, great mic guy. If I can do stuff with him, that'd be great. Then we see Shawn Spears backstage, and he's on his phone, and Tully Blanchard walks by with Midnight Dynamite. Spears asks where they were, and Tully just completely ignores him. Spears looks confused, and he starts walking and talking with them. He's trying to get their attention, talking about, like, "Hey, what's my next matchup?" No answer. Alright, what's our plans going forward? No answer. Eventually Spears just kind of gives up asking questions, and he just follows them silently. Then we start off our actual show of Dark. Takahashi defeats Luchasaurus. Jordynne Grace defeats Danny Jordan. Not confusing at all. And afterwards, Jordynne Grace grabs a mic and says, "I was brought into AEW as a top prospect for a floundering women's division." Now, the division is much better, but I've done nothing in quite some time. Since losing to someone who probably shouldn't even be in this company, I've done nothing. So, I'm leaving the Nightmare Family, but I have left on amicable terms. However, I'm not content with just fading into the background. I need to shoot for the top. Riho, we've teamed together before, but now I want to face you in matches. You're a fantastic competitor, and I respect you as the first women's champion in this company's history. So next week on Dark, I want to face off against you, Riho. So Jordynne Grace, she's had some very up and down booking, especially since losing to Ashley Flair at Revolution. Hasn't really won anything on, super major. Lost, Flair lost to the VIPs Club when she was teamed up with Riho. I believe also lost to Anna Jay. Jordynne Grace trying to get back up on her feet. Midnight Dynamite then defeat Aussie Open. Willpower defeats GKFAM. And then Scott Steiner enters the ring with the mic, and he says, "My boys been in the weight room, but I don't know I'm doing Taz, I can't do a Scott Steiner, but we ain't happy with just the weight room. All of us are looking jacked, and we're gonna go out there and beat the shit out of anyone we wanna, and I'm first looking at these little pups, the American Wolves. We're not just gonna let you sit around and take all the spotlight from my freaks here, and all of us are gonna kick your asses." Trying to do some more Dark storylines, or storylines on Dark. Technically Dark storylines, but whatever. So Steiner really he's finally trying to move out his people who I have named as the Papas of Pump, tentatively, as the stable. So, going after the American Wolves with Will Hobbs, Willie Mack. We'll see what Dallas Mantello, with Julia Hart, Nat Murphy, Arnold Trigg, I believe is the new addition. I think that's his name. Still have more people for Scott Steiner to go out and at least get them up on a little bit of a win streak. Jungle Boy then defeats Colton Gunn. Jessamine Duke defeats Elena Black. The Briscoes defeat Hideki Okatani and Scorpio Sky. Then Britt Baker hosts another edition of The Waiting Room with Jerry Lynn as the guest. Britt asks him about the ranking system and why Britt isn't first in the women's ranking, and Jerry, he's having a normal answer. It starts off very normal until about 2 minutes in, when Devon Dudley and his sons enter the set. And Devon says, "Oh, my brothers, listen to me, and listen to me well. A day of reckoning will soon be upon you all. The risen one is coming, and all those who refuse to bow to him will fall before him. Listen to me, and listen to me well. I am but a single herald of the risen one's glory. His disciples will soon crush all in his path. The risen one shall be the champion of the world, and the champion of all within this sinful land devoid of his greatness." And he wants to talk more, but eventually security does escort him off, and Britt Baker's like, "What the hell, you just took up all of my time that I was going to have actual talk with Jerry Lynn. But yeah, so Devon Dudley, as well as his sons, now also joining with Rosemary for the cult. And no, the Risen One is not actually Jesus, but we'll see how things go. Don't worry about that. The Future then defeats Matt Cardona and QT Marshall. Then, to finish it off, Kenny Omega defeats Arata Kawasaki. From DDT. That ends off our show of Dark. Moving on to our show of Dynamite, we start off with the Lucha Brothers defeating the Acclaimed. And Phoenix pins Max Caster with a Meteora. After the match, Vicky Guerrero comes out without Nyla Rose. She says, "Excuse me." I'm not going to do a Vicky Guerrero impression. For too long, the Latino representation in this company has been awful. The Lucha Bros are one of the best tag team in the world, and they are being completely overlooked, plus talents like Bandito and El Hijo del Vikingo not being used anywhere near their potential. I didn't include Dragon Lee in that because I actually think Dragon Lee's Japanese originally, but I might be wrong about that, but I want to be sorry. Of course, my late husband, God rest his soul, would hate to see so many good Latino workers just ignored. So I'm going to bring back something that Eddie gave his heart and soul towards, only for it to be taken away from him before he wanted: the Latino World Order. And after she says this to the Lucha Bros, they kind of look at each other. You know, you can kind of tell that this is something that they've been talking about. They've talked to Vicky about this. And they join Vicky on the stage as it cuts to the next segment. I know, just what I need, more stables. The Latino World... I always think it's the Lucha World Order, but it's Latino World Order. Is coming back. Vicky Guerrero is heading it up. I kind of had this idea after Andrade debuted in real life AEW. It's like, you know, I could kind of see Vicky being the manager of a new LWO. We don't really have any, right now it's just Penta and Phoenix. So, I mean, both of them definitely very capable of being that singles guy, but right now they're kind of tag people. Phoenix, I need to give a better singles push to, I'll be honest, but still, a good start to the LWO. After this, we have another creepy vignette similar to last week's. And I forgot to set this to advance the story. Faded version of Devon's spiel from the Dark Reporter earlier in the night plays in the background. Maybe you can even see like a little bit of that faded, kind of blurred out in the background almost. Like, almost a Gaussian blur. Before Rosemary appears on the screen once more. They called me a fool, that I was nothing, just a whisper in the dark, a lie speaking mistruths. But they know the truth. People listen to my calls, and they know the strength of the Risen One. Yes, every day more heed the call, more know the truth of the new king of AEW. None can stand in the way of our eyes. Look, we've already called the roster upon us. The Risen One and his follower shall claim AEW for their own. She steps back for a moment to show that she's joined by Utami Hayashishida. And we can also, as she steps back, I'm kind of imagining that most of it's like almost like a fog effect on the bottom of the screen. You have Rosemary, it's pretty much just her face. As she steps back, we can see Utami on probably the viewer's left. And we can see, almost in the middle of them, we can see some trees. They're in a forest somewhere. It's not just one tree, you can tell that it is it's a fairly forested area. It's not, they're not in civilization right now. And Rosemary just ends it off by saying that we are unending, and the Risen One is unyielding. So yeah, honestly, this whole cult that's going on, almost said the actual name of it, that would spoil who actually is the aforementioned Risen One, although it's possible that this could be guessed. Do actually finally have him signed, by the way. Last week, his contract wasn't up. I will say this. It was in the WWE system. His contract wasn't up yet. It now is, and we do have him officially on the roster to debut in about a month. Utami, now part of the cult. It's a very hodgepodge group of people. We have Utami, we have the Dudleys, we have Rosemary, I do have a few more people who haven't shown their allegiance to the cult quite yet, but we will see who all is a member of this mysterious new group of the Risen One. After it cuts back from the commercials after the vignette, we see the entire inner circle in the ring, and Jericho has a mic in his hand. He says, MJF, Maxie Boy, you want to challenge me for the title of GOAT? Well, you're certainly welcome to try, but let me tell you this. Listen to the crowd when I come to the ring versus when you do. And obviously, you know, this, just to actually have that effect in for the TV viewing audience, Jericho, you know, it comes back from commercial. There might be even like an awkward second before Judas starts playing. Enter, the entire arena unglues. They sing along with me, because I'm not just better than you in terms of recognition, I'm better than you in terms of everything. You commissioned a song to enter to, I made my own. You would be nowhere in your career without following my lead. Plus, look at the sheer difference in the stables that we own. The Inner Circle are the cream of the crop, legends of the business. You have nothing but cheap knockoffs and flimsy bodyguards who get concussed by Griff Garrison. You're welcome to try me. There's a reason I'm considered one of the best of all time, why I am considered the GOAT, why I am a champion the world over, and why I have won more championships than you have had years that you've been alive. Since my career began, I have been on the top. You had to be a lackey to Cody Rhodes. I had one of the most hyped up debuts in wrestling history. You were a throw-in for a battle royale. You're nothing compared to me, Max. In fact, I can even prove that I'm a better stable leader. Ace, Hager, you know the Punk Jungle Boy? The one that gave MJF so much trouble? Take him out. Sammy, you take that TNT title from Garza, and AJ, prove to the world why you were one of the best, and that even after 5 years, once you regain your form, you still are one of the best. And MJF, I'll take you on myself. I'll prove that I am the best, that I am the GOAT, and you are just too scared and too egotistical to recognize that. So Jericho having a 2-part promo. I know, I can do it for more than just MJF. I think I actually had one with Adam Page before, maybe? I don't know. But Jericho, he's like, you know, MJF wanted to challenge him last week. Jericho has taken up that challenge and more so. 85 rating, one of our best, I believe, tied with a Eddie Kingston promo. As our best individual segments or matches, anything of that sort. After this, we cut to backstage, where Miro has approached Kota Ibushi in the locker room. There are a bunch of undercard people trying to make sure that no fights happen. Mostly people who aren't part of a stable. Maybe even some people who are part of a stable. But a lot of, you know, maybe even like the Bankroll's probably, you know, Bankroll's probably there, Team Angle's probably there. Quite a few people trying to make sure that no fights happen. And Miro demands to know when Kota is ready for his title match, and Kota waits a moment, you know, almost as if he didn't hear. Miro gets irritated at this, but Kota, he stands up, he looks Miro in the eye, and just says, 1 week. After that, Miro takes a moment to kind of process this, he calms down, he walks off, as it fades to black. So, next week, world title match, Kota Ibushi versus Miro. This is definitely the soonest world title defense that we've had after someone has picked it up. So Kota versus Miro, I'm hoping that's a good match. Devitt then defeats Brody Lee with the Shingado's Prince's Throne. And during this match, both Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley were on commentary. Spent a lot of time talking about how their one match with Devitt will be important. Afterwards, Moxley grabs Mike, marches to the ring, and Kingston, he takes a little bit longer to get off of commentary, you know, chatting it up with Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, who technically was actually removed from commentary for Kingston, talking with Jim Ross, all that stuff. And Moxley, he just comes up and he says, well, with Kota promising Miro a title match next week, we're getting up there in the rankings. So, Devitt, we gotta have our match soon, don't we? I mean, after next week, regardless of the result of that match, we're 2-3. And if one of us is agreeing to drop out of the rankings, then we gotta get this done quick. Devitt smiles, reaches out his hand, reached out the hand for Moxley to give him Mike. Moxley does. Just says, 2 weeks then. Mox nods and walks out content with this answer. So, next week, world title match. 2 weeks from now, Moxley versus Devitt, which may be potentially a better match. I'm not sure yet, but still, we're having a lot of really big matches coming up. That's something that I need to work on more. AEW, a lot of times, they do have these big matches on free TV. Well, not free, but whatever. On TV. And so now we're having, we're having Devitt versus Moxley in possibly their only match. I mean, like, this isn't going to be a situation like Cody had where whoever loses isn't banned from challenging for the title ever again. This is just something where they're temporarily dropping out of the rankings. So that's all there is really to it. So Moxley and Devitt in 2 weeks' time. After this, Proud and Powerful actually defeats the Private Party. I'm actually kind of imagining that Proud and Powerful got the jobber entrance where we don't even see, it probably cuts to commercial, and then we don't even see Proud and Powerful enter. We get the Private Party's entry, but not Proud and Powerful's. Just as with the opening match, Vicky Guerrero comes out, this time with the Lucha Bros at her side, as the Private Party are being consoled by the Godfather. Vicky, excuse me, all that stuff. The Latino World Order is always looking for the best wrestlers in the world, especially if you want to be put higher above where you're being held down at. So, Santana and Ortiz, I am offering you, and before Vicky can even continue on, Ortiz grabs the mic and he says, no. We're proud by ourselves, and we aren't going to be second fiddle to the Lucha Bros. Penta and Phoenix seem irritated by this, but Vicky actually does hold them back, and all three of them leave, and they're all kind of disappointed that Proud and Powerful is not joining. So, yeah, Proud and Powerful, they're still faces. I haven't done much with them, but they will be working their way. They're probably mostly going to be working against the Latino World Order. Again, always want to say Lucha World Order, but it's not. After this, we cut to backstage where Chris Statlander is looking around. She eventually conveniently bumps into Shotzi Blackheart. And Chris asks Shotzi how she can get more acquainted with humans. Chris explains that, Shotzi seems to have an affinity for this, as she doesn't seem to lack any friends, and even before he showed up with anyone, she seemed to be friends with Hiromu Takahashi upon his debut, and Shotzi just smiles and agrees to take Chris up on a, quote, human learning experience. The two walk off together. After this, Kana walks into the ring when it returns to air. So, we're probably, fading in from that segment. And she's just sitting middle of the ring, has a steel chair, title on her lap, mic in her hand. She says, I'm offering now that anyone can come for my title. Doesn't matter if you're in the top 5 rankings, I will take your challenge now, and I will beat you. So anyone who is brave enough to lose to me now can come. I will take on all comers. So, Kana offering an open challenge. 3 people end up answering, as it's Jessamine Duke, Killer Kelly, and Kairi Hojo that all accept the challenge. And, yeah, not a surprise. Kana, head and shoulders above everyone else. She's about 20 pop points ahead of everyone else. Fantastic in the ring anyways. And Kairi, the only one even remotely close. So during the match, Jessamine Duke and Kairi Hojo, they end up fighting each other for most of it. And eventually this ended when Kairi Hojo does a flying crossbody to the outside. Duke hits her with an elbow, but the crossbody still does go through, and that ends up taking both of them out. For the rest of the match, I'm imagining this is, I forget how long that match actually lasted. It's in the last 2 minutes that this spot happens. Kana ends up taking out Killer Kelly to eat the pin. After the match, Big Swole comes to the ring, and she says, you're just gonna disrespect me like that? You don't think I'm anything, do you, Miss Empress? You don't think the rankings are anything, Miss Empress? Well, I'll tell you this. At least all of my talent, all of my recognition is homegrown, instead of being someone that the company just stole from a bigger place. Look, Kana, I don't give a damn that you've got all these sponsors for AEW. You're still gonna go down one of these days. I don't care if it's me that takes you down. But no matter what, I'm going to continue to be a thorn in your side for as long as you embarrass AEW's women's division. And Kana, she's mocking Swole for this, before Swole bops her with the mic, and beats Kana down for a little bit before eventually she gets up, leaves. Good work. And I like that the fact that Big Swole working the crowd, you know, people know that I mean, everyone except for Big Swole here was stolen from WWE. Big Swole was... WWE tried stealing Big Swole from me. Didn't happen. I will eventually have some people that I'll let WWE steal. They haven't made too many offers. Tenille and Big Swole were the only ones. Once Flair's contract comes up, I'm gonna let her walk back to the WWE. But that's neither here nor there. And then in our main event, Adam Page defeats Cody Rhodes. So Page grabs the mic after the match, and he sits against the ropes opposite the ramp. So, you know, he's middle of the ring, he's staring at the ramp. Cody, you know, as this promo is going on, probably just, like, slowly crawls himself to one of the turnbuckles on Page's side, and he's just kind of, you know, he's looking at him, not doing anything. And Page says, Kenny, I've been thinking about it, and Cody's been talking to me about it, about your challenge that you made to me last week. Maybe I treated it a bit too harshly. I mean, that moment a year ago completely ruined me. I lost all of my friends, I lost just about everything, but if you think you can bring something back, I'll try. So next week, we'll open up the show. You and me. It's a deal. Show fades to black as the camera zooms in on Hangman's face, and he smiles a little bit. He's more content with the show. He's hoping that things can go well, that he can finally fix things between him and Omega as we get a 78 rated show. I'm actually really proud of this show. I feel like I really caught my groove with writing. I say, as I'm about to have a week where I definitely can't record, but whatever. But still, 78, very good show. Next week, going to be exciting. Start off with Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. We main event with a world title match. And we maybe we'll have some other title matches. I don't know. But that'll do it for this week of Dynamite.